The reform of the Vatican's central government is taking shape. It's been 5 years in the making. The Pope's closest advisors, a group of 9 cardinals, will soon present a document to the Holy Father outlining the proposed changes. The cardinals wrapped up their latest meeting today at the Vatican. For more on the proposed reforms, we're joined by Vatican correspondent Juliet Linley, who joins us from Rome. Juliet, what progress has been made in these meetings so far?
Why, the text hasn't been made public as yet because the Holy Father still has to read and analyze it, and he has to decide whether he wants to change it. So the working title, Predicate Evangelium, which is Latin for Proclaim the Gospel, serves as a reminder that all reforms are intended to help the Pope in his work as Vicar of Christ. Now, the big news is that the document that will be the cornerstone of the reform process is almost done, completing one of the biggest jobs Pope Francis took on at the time of his election in 2013. Allow me just to point out that a lot might still change in the document before it's done. We'll have to wait and see, Wyatt.
You mentioned mapping out the goals. What do you think are going to be some of the goals of this reform?
Well, there were 3 main reform criteria: updating the curia, like the creation of new offices to bring it in line with modern times, communications and economics, for instance; strengthening key offices, such as the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, that safeguards the teachings of the Church; and finally, Wyatt, coordinating the offices so that they work better together.
Well, those are some pretty big goals. So now, thinking about that, what can we expect going forward?
Well, economic reform was also discussed. Now, Cardinal Pell, who served as the Vatican finance minister, was not in attendance. As we know, he faces trial on sexual assault charges in Australia. But Monsignor Brian Ferm, Secretary of the Council for the Economy, presented the reform of the financial organizational structure of the Holy See and of the Vatican city-state. Now, he stressed the efforts to improve transparency and modern accounting practices. And finally, Cardinal O'Malley gave an update on the work of the Pontifical Commission for the Protection of Minors. The cardinals will be meeting again this coming September, Wyatt, for 3 days.
And we'll continue to follow that as they discuss reforms. Juliet Linley, EWTN News Nightly Vatican correspondent. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Wyatt.